Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being in Soul Talk. And today we have a friend that we met in person in Miami. And let me tell you a little bit about who is Lisa. Lisa is a self-love empowerment coach. She's also a TEDx Talk speaker in 2024, and we were in Miami because she was giving a talk also over there with me.
Yes.
And Lisa have a degree in athletic training, in various certifications in movement, in correct exercise behavior change specialist, and functional nutrition. She's also an author on Infinite Love, the
Mm-hmm.
journey towards happiness, connection, and loving yourself the most. That is very important, guys. And she also started right now at Ignite, a company. It's called Ignite, that is for professional athletes. Gosh, my English is terrible today. As this transition of their support into the next phase of their life. And not only that, guys, something that I is being called to me too, that I've been that she's gonna be teaching about. She's about sexual energetics, teaching women to ignite their life force energy, to step into the sexual power, becoming a magnetic and inspiring men, recognizing the power they have to still deep inside of the woman. And this is
Yes.
very, very interesting. This is something that I believe it right now, that energy is anchoring more about the sexual energy in all the human beings.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I'm so excited this is a really big passion of mine is the sexual energetics because it's my own personal exploration, my own personal practice. And I just have become guided more and more and more to bring it to the public for men and women and to help guide us and teach us how it will and does impact our lives.
This, the people have these connotations this, about sex. When we talk
Yes.
about sex, people just cohibit themselves. They have a very misinterpretation what sex should be or the sexual energy is. This is not about porno. This is about way deeper energy. So can you please explain it a little bit more for our viewers, because it might be crossing their heads.
Absolutely. And my whole goal is exactly what you said is to change the paradigm of what society has told us about sex and sexual education. But really, as we know, everything starts with energy. And so, first of all, it's recognizing that we hold everything inside. We are magnetic, powerful, energetic beings. And sexual energy is our own creative life force energy. And so if we think back, the whole idea around sex is to create a human. But if we are not creating a human, we have the ability to create anything we desire. And so, working with our own sexual energy or our life force energy, if the term sexual energy is too triggering, it's learning how to harness that energy within us to create whatever we want to desire, whatever we desire. And so, my goal, my passion is awakening this energy within men and women so they learn how to transmute this energy and put it forth into creation.
I even when I have taught this class or removing sexual and unwanted sexual energy from my clients, or even different ceremonies, it's all with women.
Mm.
Men are so cohibited, and for them, the porno, it is what it is, and that's it. So, how they even open themselves to a woman to tell them, hey, this is the right way to do it?
Yeah, so I think it's helping men and women to understand a little bit more about energy. And what I like to teach, and I actually have a course coming up for men on how they can create desire within a woman. And it's all about understanding the energetics. And so if we take the physical body, we have emotions, we the physical body holds so much density, so much energy from our environment, from our interactions, and we store this in our body. And then when we actually, and this is important for men to recognize and women too. So when we have sexual intercourse, it is first an energetic exchange. And so when the masculine is inserting himself into the feminine, what he's doing is he is giving his energy, his life force energy to the feminine. And so the woman is taking on all of the masculine energy, and her womb is essentially a holding tank. And so she is holding on to whatever energy he is giving him. And if their purpose is creating a child, then that creation is also holding on to whatever energy is inside the feminine's womb. And why this is important to recognize is for men, what type of energy are you bringing into the container of your intimate relationship? So if you are angry, if you have grief, if you are frustrated, those emotions, that energy you are bringing into the container of your intimate relationships. And women, what how many partners you have had, that energy is stored inside of your womb. Now, women, we are very fortunate on this is an energetic benefit of having a menstrual cycle, is that is a way to purge some of this energy that has been stored within your womb. And that is also why, for both men and women, it is so important for us to take care of our physical bodies, working out physically, moving energy physically, taking care of our emotional bodies, processing our emotions, working with, like you, Monica, any sort of someone who has spiritual gifts that can help us look at things from an energy perspective or clear energy from our physical body. It's why it's super important for us to be mindful of what we consume and what we take in, and how detrimental pornography can be for the masculine mind, because what is doing is it it's like putting a kink in the armor of the pure divine masculine energy, and it's also leaking masculine energy. And we want the masculine energy to be solid and strong and penetrative. And when we have all of these outside forces that are causing kinks essentially in the masculine armor, and then that is brought into the feminine body. And so then the female is spending so much energy transmuting all of this energy that's within her, whether it's hers that she's processing, or whether it's from the environment or what she's taking in, or whether it's through her intimate sexual relationships. And also to note why this is so important is that it's been proven that we hold on to generational emotions, generational trauma, all the way back to 14 generations. I just did a clearing on myself that had some emotional, stuck emotions all the way back 15 generations. And so all of that is within our DNA and within our magical bodies as well. So that's why it's what I teach to both men and women is taking radical responsibility for ourself.
That is so true because epigenetics talks about it, that we're holding precisely all the energetics of
Mhm.
our ancestors. And women in this world, in a patriarchal society where we live, they've been conditioned to just be the ones that they just bring the pleasure, but without even feeling pleasure.
Yes.
In many countries, they even remove the clitoris
Hmm.
because they should not receive any kind of pleasure of it. The pleasure is for men. And that's been going into generations, transmitting that onto where we're here. And not only that, the that's for one side. And for the other side, we carry the energetics of every single past lover that we had since we
Yes.
started. And men too, not only women,
Yes.
men too.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
you're having a relationship, you're having a relationship with all that energy from all your past lovers, and they too.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's what people don't recognize is that they may have ended a relationship physically, but energetically, they're still connected. The cords are still tied, or the energy is still in the physical body. And I love what you're talking about pleasure for women, because that is one area that I'm really starting to focus on for women is helping them feel their natural pleasure within inside their body. Like I've gone through so many sexual awakenings myself. Like even just me talking about it, I can feel, you can see my body moving, and I can feel my kundalini energy starting to circulate up through my spine. And once we start to awaken that in women, everything is infinitely more pleasurable. I just laid in a river a couple weeks ago and I was at a retreat, and it was like orgasmic for me because all my senses are heightened. Is when you recognize the innate pleasure that as females we hold within our body and start to tap into our natural sexual energy, our natural life force energy, and learn how to move it through your body, through breath, through sound, through moving your body. And I also think it's important to tap into the history of women and how in way back in ancient times, women were celebrated and glorified for their magic and for their sexual energy. And men, warriors, used to come to the ancient sexual temples to heal. And women would take them through this initiation of healing them with energy, healing them and anointing them with oils and herbs, and then helping them heal by moving and dancing for them. I mean, that's where strip clubs and the ideas of women dancing for men came from. And where it started is these ancient sexual temples as these warriors came to heal, and women would use their sexual energy to help heal these men. But in order for the women to do that, they had to recognize how powerful they were within themselves and tap into their own sexual energy and heal themselves.
I totally agree with you because we have a concept really wrong. What it is, even the sexual act,
Mm-hmm.
it has to have this movement and so forth. Why? Because they saw it in a porno,
Yes.
or they have that experience with a prostitute, and they bring that energy and those teachings to the partners.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes by generations, in fact,
Yes.
for men too. We have the women that we have the lack of pleasure, and the men, it should be the pleasure in certain way, certain form. And both of them are completely wrong. And
Yeah. Yep.
and even and with all this technology and so forth, and we have transformed and got dirty the even tantra, because tantra did not even start it. Like right now, you can see it even in the porno is like tantra sex. Like that does not have to do anything with one with the other.
No, I love that you brought that up. And I'm actually hosting an intro to Tantra workshop in a couple weeks. And a lot of these women who are like, oh, I don't know, I feel a little uncomfortable. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with sex. What it's doing is taking breath and sound and movement and feeling it in your own body and helping to learn how to activate your kundalini energy, your life force energy, so you feel it within you. It's not about another person. It's about the internal journey of recognizing and empowering your own energy and how magnetic, women specifically, the feminine energy is drastically magnetic. And so you can change your life by tapping into your divine feminine energy and magnetizing opportunities and people towards you. But our society, like you mentioned, Monica, is very patriarchal, where it's push, it's go, it's hustle, which is the opposite energy of what the feminine is.
Yeah. And not only that, part of Tantra is just being present to in this second, in this moment. How
Yes.
many times men, after watching porno, they comes and wanted to have sex, they're thinking on the chick over there, not in the one that they have in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And women is like, oh my gosh, I have not washed the clothes. I have to cook for the kids. I have to do this. I have to do that. And hopefully just pleasure him. But they forgot about themselves and the present moment where the act of making love it means.
Yes. Yes. And I was going to mention that. I'm so glad you did, is this lack of presence on both sides. And one concept that I teach men is I call it the primal hunter. And so if you see an animal in the wild, or even a man who enjoys hunting, what they do is they track their prey. So they're looking at the environment around them. They're looking at the movement. And so, men, we want you, and this is so desirable in women. A woman ideally wants a man to track her. She wants a man to recognize how she moves her body, how her breath expands and contracts, and that those are all signals of where she is in her stage of being excited and turned on. But we see what happens in pornography, and men just get this boom, I'm in, boom, gone. And then we're losing this whole essence of the lovemaking phenomenon of the men using and tapping into their natural primal ability to track their prey, and the women just being in their bodies, because I think we have a really hard time being present in our physical body. Like you said, we're thinking about laundry and food and kids and our to-do list, when really, if we just drop into our physical body and let it move and moan and not be so self-conscious on how we are perceived in an intimate setting, then that allows both partners to tap into their natural strengths and ability. And it's a cycle that continues to turn each other on.
And connecting the heart
Yes,
heart connection.
yes, yes, because they're present with each other.
Exactly. So those things are very, very important. And something that you mentioned early that I just even write a little note about makeup sex. I I have teach about this, and maybe always criticize when I say makeup sex. It is not actually good for a couple because, can you explain it better, please?
Well, it's like a fake connection.
And they're bringing the anger, they're bringing the
Yes.
fight, they're bringing all that things that you don't want in a relationship into the sexual act.
Yes, into intimacy, because what happens when two souls to come together in an intimate act? It actually is very, very sacred. And when we reach the height of orgasm, a lot of people say, oh my God, or yes, or oh Lord. And that's actually the point when you are connecting with the divine. And that's why our voices, our frequency is saying these words, because in that moment, we are not separate. we are one with our partner and with divine. And so if you enter into makeup sex and you're doing it coming from like a battle, and like you said, you're bringing in these lower vibrating energies, negativity, anger, frustration, it's hard to open up your heart space and expand and tap into that sacredness of the act and communicating with the divine.
Yes, because you need to open up your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not having sex, let's say you want to open up your heart to love someone, you have to trust them.
Yeah.
And if you're angry at them, you're not trusting them.
Mm-hmm.
So that will affect the relationship and everything. Lisa, can you please explain a little bit more to our viewers what it is, the sexual energy, how we can create from there,
How
please?
we can create from there. Ooh, yeah. So in my own practice, what I like to do is I start out by, if I'm like, I start out by moving my body. And I like to, whether it's a workout, I'm a big fan of walking. I get a lot of my creative ideas from walking. And so that is just moving sexual energy throughout your body. So that's a simple way to start, is to find out really easily of like, where's your creative portal. Usually it's when you're in a little bit of a flow state and a little bit of movement. Like I said, for me, it's when I walk, call it my dog walking portal, and I get a lot of creative ideas or downloads and I'm moving my hips. For some people, it's when they do yoga, and specifically for women, it's when they're releasing their hips. So we store a lot of energy and a lot of trauma in our hips. So anytime we can release our hips, we're going to help restore energy and get energy flowing. And also, one sacred way on how we can really manifest and create life is through our intimate sexual relations with our partner. It's called sex magic, and that is really advanced. But it's when you're with your partner and both of your hearts are wide open. And when you reach the point of orgasm, both of you set your intention on what you want to create, what you want to call into your life, what you want to magnify. And because that is the highest frequency and you are connecting with the divine, creation will form from there.
This is wonderful what we're talking right now if you have a mate.
Yes.
But what will happen for the many single people there are? Because we have many single women or men
Mm-hmm.
that they say, okay, but how do I can harness that
Yeah.
energy?
Yeah. And for my journey, my entire journey has been when I'm single. So I want to reiterate, you don't have to be in a partnership to tap into and to harness your own creative sexual life force energy. And like anything, it's a practice. And it's knowing your body. And a good way to start is a little meditation, just fully dropping in, being fully present with your body. Again, I like to move my body, so moving my hips around and around. Breath work practice can initiate this flow of energy. Taking it for women or men, taking any sort of dance classes can initiate this creative energy force. Self-pleasuring can also have this creative force, but I want to have a caveat at that with that is more for women. That helps to initiate the sexual energy, creative life force energy within them, and they want to start breathing, because we hold our breath. A lot of times we hold our breath in whatever we do. The more you focus on your breath and pulling the energy up your spine, out through the crown of your head, is how we start to tap into that creative life force energy. Now, for men, masturbation or self-pleasure is not recommended because, again, that's a way they leak life force energy. So there are tantric practices for men, and this is a hard practice because it goes against what society says or pornography, but it's not reaching ejaculation. It's taking that primal sexual energy, and right before you're about to let go, it's taking that energy inward, up and in through your body with your breath, continually breathing. So breath is probably one of the biggest ways where we can start to circulate that sexual life force energy. We can also do it through music, through sound. So sound baths. I always go back to dancing because I think that's like a key for me, is putting on music and dancing in my room or dancing around my house. Definitely for me, a big one is movement of the hips, letting my body flow how it wants to flow. That's how we can embody the sexual energy.
And this take me to the other stage of women after the menopause.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the menopause, the majority of the women, they lose the desire, the sexual
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Yep.
it change. It
Yep.
is not gone, but it just change. We do not lubricate the same. Uh, we don't get the desire like when we were in our 20s, etc., etc. So what would you tell them? Because I know life continue, obviously, after the menopause,
Mm-hmm.
we're still here. But many of my clients that they have come with me is like, okay, I'm having this issue. I'm already in a menopause and I'm having problems with my husband because I don't want to have sex
Mm-hmm.
more. So can you talk to these women?
Yeah. So when you reach that wisdom stage, right, where you hold so much wisdom, so much life, you still have a lot of life force in your body, but it's really tapping into your own practice of what turns you on. And I don't even necessarily mean sexually, but like what brings you joy and happiness and glee, because that will help to flow the energy in our body. That will help to for you to feel that primal kind of sexual energy again. And women, doesn't matter any of the age, we are very much turned on by our senses: smell, taste, touch, sound. So it could just be like a back rub or a massage, or maybe you're just, honoring your body. As we age, we also lose that sense of touch. And it's so important because our skin is so sensitive and we have so many nerve endings on our skin and on our scalp and on our feet. So it's finding out what are your pleasure zones. And then it's also knowing if you want to eventually turn it into sexual intimate relationships with your partner, is what does turn you on? What did in the past? Maybe it's changed, maybe it hasn't. And a lot of it with our partner, for women, it's more of a like safety in a relationship, trust in a relationship, communication, consistency by their partner, showing up over and over and over, reliability. Those are huge factors. And again, it's taking that self-responsibility and asking, if you are no longer interested in sexual relations, asking yourself, well, why? Also, what is the emotional root cause behind that? Am I having a hard time with my body physically changing? My hormones are changing. And so digging into that a little bit deeper of the why behind you don't want to connect intimately with your partner anymore.
That is so true. And there is also something that I was investigating in that area was also the comparison to others.
Mm-hmm.
Because we even compare ourselves. Oh, I don't look when I was 20.
Yes.
I don't have the energy when I was 20 and so forth. And it's the lack of self-acceptance at the same time where you are now.
Yes, absolutely. And also recognizing that intimate relationships don't even necessarily have to look like intercourse. Maybe it's just the most intimate thing you can do with your partner is looking into each other's eyes and establishing that soul connection eye to eye and opening your heart, and or just being intentional about the time you spend together, that very intimate time that you spend together, a hugs, a massage, right? It doesn't actually have to be intercourse. That's a physical act, but there are very many different ways to connect very deeply and very intimately that can cause a surge in endorphins and feel good hormones and our sexual life force energy that doesn't involve intercourse.
Yes, and there's different stages, and men goes in a different way when they andropass.
Mhm.
It's very different than women, but they still go to the same stages, and they later on it becomes also problems for them and psychological in many levels, physical and mental for them.
Yes. Yeah. So as we age, that's why intimacy and connection is so important, because we're changing so much. Our life physically changes so much. People come in and out of our life differently, you know, have been together for a long time. So things can become pretty routine or pretty stagnant. So it's also playing with those energies of honoring each other and taking space when you need space, but really making time to come together. And it's recognizing too that men and women are different about that as well. Like women really love to connect, and they could connect all the time and be together all as one. Whereas men, they need space. So absence makes the heart grow fonder. That is masculine. Men need some space. So it's recognizing that for women of like allowing, I don't like the word allowing, but recognizing that, okay, men need a little more space than what you need. So if you want to be clinging to them all the time because you love that deep connection and you always want to be connecting with them, sometimes that can drive a man away because he just needs a little space to be
Yeah.
in his own energy and to recirculate his energy.
Yes, and they feel a little bit asphyxiated, like any human being.
Yes.
And it's not lack of love, it is needing their own space.
Yes, it's not lack of love and they're not pushing you away. It's how they connect. It's how they connect with women.
This is so coming so much right now in the energetics to the world because we're clearing the slate from all the programming that we have. It's not only about the beliefs and so forth, that because sex is ingrained in our beliefs.
Yes.
It is ingrained that a couple that they don't have sex, they're not gonna last. When we're seeing, observing, and now is more open, and there are many couples or persons, males or females, asexual
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, and that is normal too. They just have different wiring,
Yes.
but that doesn't mean they should be shunned or they should be rejected or any shape or form. They're just different ways of observing life or having needs from life.
Yes. I agree. And I love that you said that. And it's important for us to recognize that every single human on this earth has a special gift to provide humanity and to help humanity usher in the new earth and help us remove the old paradigms and the old propaganda and the old way of doing. And some people, it is through relationship. And some people, it is through that deep, intimate connection and the frequency that they emit when they are intimate with their partner is very powerful. But then there are other people that is not their role, that is not their position with humanity. They are here to offer just as powerful of gifts, but in a whole different way. And so I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this sort of thing as we move through. And like you said, right now, is a huge time energetically of clearing out, of purging, of shakeups and breakups and makeups, and just we're kind of rearranging things right now because we're heading in a whole new direction and ushering in prosperity and abundance and a whole new earth.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And I wanted to ask you, do you sabotage yourself for the things that you really want? Or maybe you're having reactions from different triggers that are coming into your present? And not only that, you might be doing this with your own clients that are looking for your help and support. And even if you really want to help them, you're getting triggered by them because you have not done those releases of limiting beliefs or your own unhealed trauma that you have not done yet. So if you're projecting yourself with the people that you love or the people that you want to help, I created membership just especially to do shadow work. Shadow work, it is to release the shame and the blame and the guilt and the fears, and to learning to control your own ego to make it your friend, and learning how not to react so you can have enough time to think before you react, so you're carrying less shame and guilt and so forth. We're going to be talking about programs. So I created Warrior of Love membership, that it is going to be a tribe where everybody's going to be working on this, and I make it very, very affordable for everybody, so like that you can join us and you don't have those excuses. I know, I've been there. Believe me, I was very reactive. I'm a Scorpio. So, and I was grown in a narcissist family. So, where everybody compete and envy and so forth, and no one can believe in themselves. And more because I come from a Latino family where a woman is just basically to have kids and to cook and clean. So I have to overcome all that to become who I am now. That I am a public speaker, I am an artist, I am a podcaster, I am a coach, and I'm living the life of my dreams. Even if that was not my beginning, where I started. When I started, it was from the trauma to releasing and healing precisely myself, my physical body, my mental body, and my spiritual body. So, if you wanted to know how we can do it together, come to the tribe. So, like that, you can do it at your own pace because they're going to be pre-recording videos. I'm going to come twice a month with a Q&A. I'm going to have guest speakers once a month at the same time. I'm going to be doing an Akashic Records once a month. And you're going to have meditations and activations, and you can have all the replays that you want to have in there. So, and of course, you're going to have a supported community that are working in the same level, so you can talk with someone that will understand you beside of me. So I'm going to have a free talk on November 2nd at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be talking about what it is shadow work, because just the name, many people get scared. But it is, but we're carrying that shadow, that shame, that blame, that guilt, those fears until you release them. And that it is a choice where we're going to be talking about. So come over, it is completely free. And then after that, on the 11th, we're going to start with a membership. So let's start all together, because you don't have to do this alone. We can do it together. You can have the support that you want. I am a NLP practitioner. I am also a hypnotherapist, certified BQH. I am also belief specialist. I am also a certified life coach, master channeler, and Akashic Records reader. And I'm gonna put everything in there that I know, that I have worked with myself. So like that, you can overcome all that too. Hey, you don't have to do this alone. I wish I knew this when I started my work. So come over. November 2nd at 7 o'clock. It is completely free. It's just a talk about how we're going to proceed and what it is shadow work, that everybody hear it, and just the name is kind of scary, shadow. Yes, but until we love the shadows inside of us, we're not going to release that. So come over. My name is Monica Ramirez, the warrior of love. And also, women are speaking up. What are their needs and wants? Before, it was not even permitted.
Yes.
And this time, I still find some men, I have been told, like, you're very opinionated as your pronoun woman. you know, but that does kind of conversations or throwing it to a woman, they're less and less and less. Why? Because the world is changing and women were speaking up and we're saying, you're not going to treat me like that, etc., etc. And that's where it comes the confusion, because sex also is being used to control and dominate boys. There are cultures in, I was reading in Africa, that they go one tribe to invade another tribe and they rape everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't need weapons. They
Yep.
just rape. And that's actually worse than grabbing machine guns and killing them, because that brings a lot of control of another person by fear.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it does. And again, the effect that has on not just the victim, but generations down. It has a huge, huge effect. So that's why it's so important that we take responsibility for our actions, for what we say, for what we do, because it can have generational impact. And we don't think about that. We don't think about, we think about the choices right in front of us, but we don't think about the impact that they may have generationally.
Yeah, and something that comes out a lot lately, and it's lately because now it's permitted to talk. Before it was more, they have more the program, the dirty clothes you wash it in house, not outside. So many people, men and women, stay quiet. But it is, at this point, it is, I cannot say use the word ridiculous, but it is increasing that many women that I meet, they've been raped.
Yeah.
And at
Yes.
one point of their lives.
Absolutely. Same with me. I do not know a single woman who has either not been sexually harassed, sexually assaulted, or unfortunately raped. And that's just in my like inner circle of people who feel comfortable talking about it. There are so many people who, haven't spoken up yet even, but like you said, there are more and more people, more and more women and more men who are stepping forward to talk about their sexual abuse and the impact it's had on them. And so the more we feel comfortable talking about it, the better it's going to be for society, the better that it's going to be to help these people heal and to help them recognize that they did nothing wrong and that they can work through this, and also help them recognize to see that it may be affecting your life in ways that you don't even recognize. That may not be like a big dramatic thing, but it's a little thing. Like you're storing a lot of anger in you because you haven't processed the trauma that happened 10, 15 years ago. And you're like, oh no, I'm over that. Well, you still have some anger or grief or whatever it is in your body, that your nervous system is still hanging on to it, because our body communicates with our subconscious mind.
Yes, we store everything that we are, it's so painful that we store everything in our subconscious. Any single trauma
Yes.
is stored in there.
Yes.
And we tend to shove it in. Like we don't want to see it, we don't want to
Yep.
see it. But it's
Yep.
going to show up, like you
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yep. And like anything, right? Like we're just talking about the negative impact of sexual assault and rape, but we can also heal
Yes.
through intercourse too, right? When you are in a loving and safe container, and you feel free and comfortable to open your heart wide open, and your partner does too, you can reach states of ecstasy and bliss and feel a love that you may have never felt before. So with everything, right, there's a paradigm. We can take something that is so dark and evil, but there's also the other side of it that is so enlightening and so loving. And so, obviously we can, hope is not lost for someone who's in the dark, and that there is light in everything.
It is a matter of choice that want to heal.
Yes.
Then they can.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you have to get stuck in that mentality that I'm damaged and I'm damaged
Mm-hmm.
ever. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
You're not damaged and you can heal. So
Yeah.
it's important to give that hope to everybody that have passed through that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah. And a great way of healing is recognizing your own internal power, your own sexual life force energy, and feeling it circulate through you, and feeling it move your body, and feeling these states of peace and calm and joy. And then you get to really in tune with your physical body, and then you get to recognize it, like, ooh, I'm feeling a little contracted here, or I'm feeling a little stuck. I wonder if I have some stuck energy, or I'm really tight in this area, or I'm really angry. And okay, well, let's start to move some energy around so we can move through those patterns, move through those emotions, so we don't hold on to them.
and observe if we the moment we start observing that the act of making love, it is sacred.
Yes.
It is not a release like going to the bathroom.
Right.
Because there's a big difference.
Yes. And we also, like, when people think of like the act of making love, they think about, oh my God, that's so long. Like, it just takes forever. It doesn't have to. It can, love making can be in all forms. It can start in the morning with a nice text message or note to your partner, or a compliment. Or men, anytime you can take something off a woman's plate, oh, it just creates this like thank you appreciation in her, which starts to excite her. So all of these little things can be acts of making love. And then by the time you get to the actual physical act, you know that, oh, well, we don't have that much time, we have to pick up the kids, but you're really intentional when you are connecting, and you're really purposeful. And it's not just an in, bang, out. It is intentional and it is purposeful, because you've put in your time throughout the day or throughout the week or throughout the month with the little acts, that by the time you get to the big physical act, it doesn't have to be a 6 hour drawn out process.
That's the best foreplay that I have heard.
Yes, yes, yes. So men, yes, women love, I think I compare it to like a romance novel. Women want the draw, they want to be drawn out. I'm like, give them details, draw it out. They want that like sexual tension, that they're thinking about it in their mind, and they're creating a scenario or thinking about you, because orgasm for a woman starts in the brain. And the more they can think about that nice note that you did, or how without asking and unprompted you unloaded the dishwasher and took out the garbage, that they start to go, and then they start thinking, and then they start desiring you.
Yes. And just think about this, guys. In that moment, she's not going to be thinking, oh, I have to take the trash out. Because you already did. So
Yeah,
she's
because
going
you
to be
already
more
did.
present with you.
Yeah. And for women, like you talked about, it's speaking up for our needs, right? And I see a lot of women, they just get into a routine of like, I'll do it, oh, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And you're not letting your man, a man wants to please a woman. He wants to please a woman so badly. And so if you explain to him, honey, I really appreciate it when you take the trash out because then it saves me time and I can start dinner quicker. Like for him, it's like, oh, I get a point if I take the trash out. And he always wants to win. He always wants to score that game winning goal. And so the more you can give him opportunities to do that, the more he feels like a man because he's winning. And the more you're like, oh, thank you. You're helping me out so much. But for women, we can get into this nagging of like, I told you 10 times to take out the trash and you didn't listen. Why didn't you do it? And it comes down to, and this is what I preach a lot to both men and women that I work with, biologically, men's brains and women's brains think very, very different. And it goes back to our primal ancestry. So men are very singular focused, right? And they had to be because they were the hunter. And so they had to go out and hunt and they had to solely focus on that. And if they were watching the wind blow or the trees or the grass going around, then they may be killed. And so their main focus was food, hunt, bring it back. Whereas the women were more the gatherers. So they're looking and for their safety and their survival, they had to be hyper aware of everything in their environment. Where are the children? Where are the elderly? What's the weather like? How's the grass moving? Because that was how they survived, is by being this hyper awareness. And so I like to compare it to, in today's world, men are like a waffle where they have all these little compartments and work, family, play, vacation. And sometimes it can take a lot of energy to hop from one compartment to the other because they're so singular focused and their main objective is productivity. Whereas women, we are like the syrup over the waffle. So we are in every compartment all the time, all at once. And so we can see how the trash being full is interrupting our flow with cooking dinner and then laundry, and then the kids are hungry. So we can see how all of this weaves together and impacting our life. Whereas men aren't great at seeing that because they are very singular focused because neurologically that's how their brains were created to be that. So it's when we understand that, wow, we actually think very, very differently, that we can have more compassion for the other person. And it's understanding how that other person sees the world and thinks, then we can work with that and not work against it, but work with it.
That is so true because yes, we are very, very different. We're two species different. And
Yes.
we just fall in love with the other species because we in the way we interpret life and observe, let's say an apple, women are gonna observe the apple in a very different way than men.
Yeah.
Women are
Yep.
making already plans what they can do with the apple, baking, the kids,
Mm-hmm.
healthy, nutritious, and the man is thinking how I'm gonna buy more apples.
Yes. Yeah. We just think so differently. And so it's appreciating how the other person thinks and how it benefits you, right? So the man thinking about how am I going to buy more apples? He's thinking, I want my family to never have without an apple.
Yeah,
I want my wife to be able to bake the pie and the applesauce and the kids have it for lunch. And so women, we need to appreciate that aspect of the man. He's always thinking about how can I provide? It's first it's procreate, then it's protect, and then it's provide. So that's the order that men think about. And procreate doesn't have to mean sex or creating children. Procreate can mean productivity. How am I creating in this world? How am I being of service? And so when we recognize that, then we can be great, women can be grateful, like, oh my gosh, thank you for always thinking about how you can provide us more apples. And for men, they can be grateful of like, oh, thank you for providing me, giving to me so many ways that you show your love by applesauce and apple pie and providing for the children because that's what women do. We provide nourishment, nurturing, and love for men and other people too. And so for men, it's recognizing that these are all ways that a woman shows you she loves you, is by keeping a clean house, providing food, or, whatever how the woman views the world with the multifaceted, multitasked. That's how she's nurturing her family unit.
Where do you feel energetically? Because many of our viewers believe in this.
Mhm.
How do you believe energetically it is gonna this change? Because I can feel it and sense it that this sexual energy is just anchoring more. And I know many channelers right now in the world were receiving the same message. But how do you think this is gonna change the world at the, let's say, in 15, 20 years?
Mm, yeah, it's a great question.
Those porno is gonna disappear? Those men actually is gonna start seeing sacred women. Women are gonna start trying themselves sacred. How do you see that?
Yeah, I see. I don't know if porn will completely disappear in 15 or 20 years. I mean, we could be hopeful, but I think it might take a little longer for that. But I do see this recognizing of self, of how much power we have within ourself to embody the type of energy we want to put out into the world, right? So I've talked about it multiple times about taking that self responsibility of caring for our vessel physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to be the best version of ourselves. And what that also does is it increases our sexual energy. It increases our life force, our vitality, and then we are able to have deeper, more connected, intimate relationships. It just heightens our pleasure in every realm. I think it's going to help us to be more compassionate, to have more empathy. I think it's dramatically going to affect how we raise children and what children learn, and completely flip the paradigm on sexual stories and the word sex. Like a lot of times on the internet, you can't even type out sex and you will get like a red flag, or your content won't be shared because that's what society says. But I think where we're going is that we're sharing it in a healing way, in not a provocative pornography way, but flipping the paradigm and sharing it on how it can heal and help move our our humanity forward into the new earth.
That is so, so important. And I'm so happy that that is happening and that more people are talking about it without the taboo.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
there's fear even in mentioning the word. But
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like recognizing, and again taking that responsibility of like, oh, I don't have to be afraid of this. Curious. Like, let's get people curious and reading. Like, I started out on my journey by studying and reading books. And because I always had this draw to sexual energetics and I didn't know why. And then as I started reading, I was like, oh, yeah, wow, this is really inherent in me. And I could go into a bunch of past lives that I've had in this realm too. But um, and the more curious I got, the more sense it made to me, the more it turned off any sort of like, oh, that's weird. Oh, I can't talk about that. And it provided me with encouragement and wanting to share this with other people, and helping them to find their own journey with their life force energy, with their sexual energetics, and the power that it has to really cultivate the life of your dreams.
etc. Lisa, do you have something else to say before we an advice for our viewers before we close down
Oh, yes. I guess I would just say to your viewers that every single one of you is a dynamic human being on this earth with so many gifts to share, with so much creativity within the cells of your body. And all you have to do is start focusing on your breath and moving your body. And that can begin your journey of starting to tap into that creative, joyful, orgasmic life force energy that we all have inside of us. And it's recognizing and moving towards what brings you joy and being in that joy state. Because when we are in a joy state, we are moving our life force energy throughout our body. Just think about when we are laughing hysterically with friends. We are moving so much energy through our body. So tap into that joy state.
Thank you so much. And to all our viewers, the links for Lisa so you can find her. They're going to be underneath of this interview, so like that you can get a hold on her too.
Awesome.
Lisa, it's been really my pleasure to have this conversation and to see you again.
Yes, Monica, so lovely. Oh, I just love you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And if this help you, this interview help you, maybe it will help one of your friends. Please share it. Share it with your friends. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody. This is
Awesome.
Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love.